Welcome to FineScale Modeler Weekly.
We've got a packed show for you this time, starting with some cool new products, including this.
From ICM, here's a 1/48 scale Key 21 1B bomber.
Known to the Allies as Sally, this twin-engined aircraft saw combat in China and the Pacific early in the war.
In early 2023, ICM released a series of nice Sallys in 1/72 scale. Let's see how this compares.
Typical of ICM aircraft, surface detail is outstanding with very fine recessed panel lines throughout. Openings for windows and doors are crisp. The tail, featuring the rear-facing Stinger machine gun, as well as a separate rudder and elevators, gets added to the fuselage. The wings look as good as the fuselage and feature separate ailerons, but fixed flaps.
Along with structural details molded inside the fuselage halves and the inserts to cover the wing recesses, the interior includes the wing box molded with the cockpit floor and the tunnel to the bombardier's position, seat and controls, instrument panel, bulkheads, fuel tanks, and dorsal, waist, and ventral gun positions. One thing this kit has that the smaller versions lacked is a bomb bay, with racks for 4 250-pound bombs and optional open or closed doors.
The engines build from several components, with firewalls and one-part cowl opening. The landing gear looks good also. The Sally has a lot of glass, and I like that the complex framing is easy to see because the texture separates it from the windows. Lights are included. To help masking, there's a full page with templates and guides.
The decals, so much red, give instrument panel details and markings for 4 aircraft. A Sally with the 60th Sentai in China in 1940, another from the same unit, a Key 21 at the Hamamatsu Army Flying School in 1940, and a neatly camouflaged plane from the 25th Air Brigade HQ flight in Japan 1943.
ICM has been doing a lovely job with its 1/48 scale bombers, and this Sally is a nice addition. You know, they packaged this with the Mustang they have in their collection. You could have a Mustang Sally.
You could. This next kit came as a bit of a surprise.
It's Tamiya's 1/48 scale British 2-ton 4x2 ambulance.
Although not stated, the kit represents the Austin K2Y, which was built in large numbers and used throughout Western Europe and North Africa throughout World War II.
The curbside kit has a one-piece frame with separate springs and drivetrain and 2-part wheels.
The truck body sits on a single lower section with the front fenders and bumper, windshield and rear doors, cab roof and back wall, sides, box roof, and radiator grille.
Cab details include seats and controls and a driver. Clear plastic provides the windshield, windows, and headlights.
The decals provide dash styles and markings for a pair of British Army ambulances.
This neat little kit is a nice addition to Tamiya's 1/48 scale vehicle range, and it will make a nice addition to a diorama with other 1/48 scale aircraft or vehicles. And before anyone accuses me of using the word diorama too much, it says so right here on the box.
Our next offering is an all-new tooling from round 2.
It's AMT's 1/25 scale kit of the Black Beauty, the ride of superhero the Green Hornet from the 1966 TV series.
Based on a 1966 Imperial, this car was a rolling arsenal for the crime fighter.
Now, Round 2 has had a 1/32 scale Black Beauty in its Polar Lights range, but that was a re-release of the old Aurora kit from 1966. This is the first time this kit has been released in 1/25 scale.
The curbside kit features a one-piece underside with molded engine, drivetrain, and suspension details, and a sharply molded body with good lines, a subtle texture change for the vinyl roof, and separate clips for the front and rear with the openings for the rockets. There's also an insert for the recessed rear window.
The platform-style interior has the rear seat molded with the floor, separate split-bench front seats, detailed side panels, dashboard, and a host of crime-fighting equipment including phones, TV screens and oscilloscopes, brooms to hide the car's tracks, gas guns and the aforementioned rockets, all with doors that can be posed open or closed. Figures of Kato and the Green Hornet are included.
The Beast rolls on vinyl tires wrapped around chrome-plated custom rims that mount on metal axles. The windshield, rear glass, and optional headlights are molded in clear plastic. The custom taillights are clear red, and the infragreen headlights and visor are clear green.
The decals supply instruments and trim for the dash, screens for the crime-fighting equipment, wheel details, and body striping.
The Imperial is a big car, so this should be imposing on the shelf. And with all the options, it should be fun.
Yeah, it looked good next to AMT's 1/25 scale Batmobiles that they released a few years ago. Get the two 1966 TV cars together. Yeah, nice. Let's take a quick look at a few books.
Starting with Volume 2 in the Eagles of the Luftwaffe series covering the Focke-Wulf FW200. Published by Tempest, the 146-page softcover traces the development of the Condor as an airliner and transport through its combat service by year during World War II. It's filled with photos and color profiles.
Speaking of which, here's Volume 11 of the Pacific Profiles series covering the U.S. Army Air Force P-40s in the South and Southwest Pacific. Obviously, beautiful profiles are the focus in this book, but many are supported by photos, and there are other useful details for modelers.
Finally, if you are interested in Russian bombers, this 210-page hardcover is for you. It looks at the post-war development of jet bombers in the Soviet Union and later Russia. It's text-heavy, but there are a lot of cool photos too. Takom continues to produce nice 1/72 scale armor kits,
including this dual combo featuring an M60A1 with ERA and an M60A3.
Most of the parts are repeated, including the lower hulls, the upper hull and turret parts, road wheels, suspension, and link-and-length tracks. All of these parts are cleanly molded with sharp surface detail.
For the M60A1, the kit provides sections of explosive reactive armor, a slide-molded main gun, and some other equipment. The M60A3 has different sighting equipment, turret grab handles, and a few other details. Photo-etched brass gives mesh for the turret bustle basket, braces, and more.
The decals provide markings for a pair of Marine Corps M60A1s from Operation Desert Storm and two M60A3s, one from the U.S. Air Force, the other an Army tank in Murdoch camo.
These are good-looking models, typical of Takom, and should build easily.
Look for reviews of the Sally, Ambulance, and Black Beauty on FineScale.com.
And while you're there, stick around and check out all of the terrific how-to videos and stories, as well as show galleries on offer.
FineScale Modeler Weekly is brought to you by Hobby Zone USA, your source for hobby storage solutions, hard-to-find hobby tools, and aftermarket modeling needs. And by Cult TV Man's Hobby Shop, the place to go for sci-fi and fantasy kits, decals, detail sets, masks, and more.
Over the last couple of years, modelers have become infatuated with single blade nippers or shears. Now, what these nippers are supposed to do is give you an ultra-fine clean cut when removing parts from sprue, so that the part requires less cleanup after being removed, or there aren't stress marks, or it hasn't been distorted in some way. They really got their start with the Gundam modeling community, and they've just sort of taken off for everyone. There are a number of different manufacturers who make these single blade shears, Godhand being one, DSPIAE being another. DSPIAE has gotten a reputation for high grade modeling tools, and it just so happens that we have a pair of, and it says it right here, ultrafine single blade nippers from DSPIAE. So let's go ahead and open up this box and see what's inside. This, we've got this sliding slip cover that comes off, and then the box inside, which has inside of it 2 boxes. Aw, thank you for choosing DSPIAE products. Nice. So already we've got a little protective leather sheath. Get rid of that. Snaps, protect the blade. Put that aside. And then, ta-da, look at that. So in a plastic case, oh, a couple of magnets right here to hold that shut. That's nice. There is the nipper itself. So it looks like it comes with an adjustment tool. Pops right out. So you'd be able to go ahead and put that away, and it will fit in its entirety, I hope. Look at that, back into its plastic. I gotta say, that's pretty nice. I usually just store my nippers on a sort of tool caddy so that they're easy to grab, but before we go any further with this review, I do have to tell you that we sell this tool on CalmBlockHobbyStore.com. However, that fact is not going to change what I'm going to say about this tool. let's go ahead and take this tool out. It's a small hex wrench. I'm not sure what we'll use it for, but let's go ahead and take a look at the nipper itself. Out of the sheath. Eagle Eye Aaron over there behind the camera, he's like, I think there might be something else in there. So we're gonna actually open this up, and you know what? There is. There's what looks to be a cleaning cloth. I should have brought a knife with me. Whew! Man. But I didn't, so you're just gonna watch me power through this. And that is exactly what that is. It's a nice little cleaning cloth for the polish your tool. Get your mind out of the gutter. All right? Stop it. Anyway, a little polishing cloth there for the DSPIAE nipper. Now, I will say this. I don't see any instructions that come with it, and I guess under normal circumstances, you go to the store and you pick up some nippers or a wrench or what have you, and it doesn't come with instructions. You just kind of know how to use it. But with something like this, I did notice on the box, there's a lot of text. So let's go ahead and just take a look and read through some of the stuff that's on the box here. Now, it says specifically on the box, do not use this nipper for cutting plastic sheets, which can cause misalignment and malfunction of the tool. Due to the fragile nature of the blade tip, avoid using this section for cutting parts. Always use the middle section of the blade to do the job and protect your blade from tip damage. Do not change cutting angles randomly when cutting runners, which can easily damage your blade. Clear parts are much harder than normal plastics. When working with clear parts, always avoid cutting the clear runners, which can cause a collapsed or even broken blade. So these are things that, that's good information to know. Taking a look at these shears, you can see that that blade is indeed very fine. This is the flat cutting surface right there that that blade cuts against. So I can see why the warning about it being fragile should probably be taken to heart. Now, when comparing those to a more traditional sort of shears, these are micro shears from Xuron, even though they're branded for privateer press. And you can see that there's, you know, the one blade, and then there's the other blade. Typically, you know, they're both sharp. But if you look at those blades are much thicker, much meatier than what that blade is on the DSPIAE cutter. So, again, take that into consideration, but that should provide a clean cut. Now, I think what this here is a stopper so that blade, or you don't open that up all the way and have your spring fall out. And then this here is another stopper for when you squeeze them, that you don't squeeze it too far and damage the blade against the cutting surface there. So this screw here intersects with that handle and stops the blade from really mashing into this cutting surface. We end up with also this adjustment tool. It is too big to adjust this, so not for that. It does, however, fit into this hex screw down here. I'm not sure why we would want to adjust this though back any further. This seems to have been adjusted at the factory to properly stop the blade. So I'm going to look into that a little bit further while we continue on our way here, and then let you know what I find at the end. Let's give these cutters a test, shall we? Pulled an old destroyed Tomahawk from the Macross saga out of the pile O mech kits. So we can take one of these sprues and give this a shot. Let's take this piece of leg armor down here. Now, one of the things that we're supposed to be able to do is cut really close to the part and not deform or damage the part. So, ooh, that was a nice action. Holy cow. Okay, that was different. That was different. That was a different experience. I don't know how to explain it to you other than it was almost like cutting through You know how you can push a knife through butter and there's just this slight resistance? That's kind of the same experience that I just had with this. Rather than the nipper experience, the normal nipper experience where it's like, tink! Let me try this again. That was more of a typical sound that you expect nippers to make. I'm being very gentle with these right now. Unfortunately, yeah, just where these gates are placed, not super conducive. However, there they are. Now that was the first one that I did. Let's take this one and come in just a little bit closer and clean that up. Try the same thing down here maybe. Come from the other direction with it. Ooh, there you go. So you can see, hey, I'm gonna have to clean that part up. Now, I'm not, that could be me, right? Being new to these and maybe being a little bit too gentle with these. Because if I were to do something similar with these guys, I don't have this warning from the box with these, which are my typical go-to for nippers at my workbench. These Xuron, I'm all about them. So, you know, if I'm gonna do this, well, first of all, I already know that I'm gonna end up probably doing some cleanup anyway, so I'm gonna purposefully snip farther away from the part itself. So am I gonna have to do some cleanup? Sure. Let's try a different part, like this one right here. That looks promising. All right, on that really flat part, I gotta say, those are some pretty clean cuts right there. Those are nice. Completely without having to come in here and do some cleanup, no. But substantially less than what I did there. I was able to put them right up next to the part, and it nipped cleanly. Now if I did that with a similar part, let's see if I get some deformation, if I do it with my Xurons. There's definitely a different sound that comes with this. More of a pinch and more of a snap. More of an edge. Cut is not as clean there, and I had it right up against there. On this part, I don't know if you can see that or not, but right there, there is a bit of a deformation. I got part of the plastic came out on that edge there. Probably gonna be hidden by another part, but if not, that's gonna require filler. Back here, that was probably the cleanest of them, and even that one there, you can see some deformation because I cut right up next to the part. There's this almost slicing motion that these nippers make rather than pinching. And I know that doesn't make sense because we're hinged and they are technically pinching, but rather than both sides cutting sort of like this at the same time, this is more maybe like a guillotine. I don't know. I'm at a loss here to explain the science behind this, but there is this sharper motion, this slicing motion, if you will. We're wondering if maybe that means that there's less of a chance of small parts going flying when you cut them from a sprue. Now, from this kit itself, I don't have some super small parts, but there's this little antenna here, and I thought, let's see what this does, cutting the antenna off. And I'll just do that. Look at that. That was the slice on one end. That was the cut on the other. And it just basically stayed put. It didn't go anywhere. Now, is that going to be the case with, you know, treads and all sorts of other things? Well, maybe not, but maybe that slicing motion means less of a chance of it going phew, into the ether, being sucked up into the void and never to be found again. Something to consider. As promised, we went to look for answers about this adjustable stopper. And, well, as you might expect, DSPIAE's website had the answers. This stopper can be adjusted. What happens is maybe it gets out of alignment a little bit, and so you loosen this nut here with a wrench, And then you can use the provided tool to adjust the stopper backs until there is no gap between the blade and the cutting surface. That's what you want, because that's going to give you your clean, best cut. Now, remember, when we were talking just a minute ago about maybe these would prevent parts from flying off and getting lost into the carpet monster. I want to show you something here. Just take a piece of sprue, and we're just going to cut the end of it off. So just taking a small end, not very thick, maybe a millimeter, millimeter and a half, you're able to snip that right off. Now, this is obviously not scientific, this is completely anecdotal, but taking about a millimeter and a half or so there at the end with my traditional nippers, that cut was not nearly as clean as what the DSPIAE nippers did. It's just a different style of cutting when it comes to how it does its job. And again, it's a clean cut. Those of you who've been watching Tooling Around for a while know whether or not I like to say a tool is cool. I like tools, and this tool is neat. I do like it. Is it going to replace my handy dandy Xuron nippers at my workbench? Probably not. Those are my mainstay, they're my workhorse. I can use them on anything, and I know the kind of quality I can get out of them. However, where these would be really useful is where those sprue gates are on a part that I know that area is going to be visible in the end. And these are going to help me maybe make the cleanest cut possible and help on the backside where maybe it's going to eliminate some filing and sanding so that I don't maybe have to get rid of detail or replace details that I have had to sand off, or might reduce the amount of filling that I have to do. So I do like how they work. I do like the idea of them. This particular set from DSPIAE runs in the $45, $46, $47 range. So you're getting this case, you're getting the tool, the adjustment knob, all of this stuff. Sometimes tools are expensive, and no one can tell you whether or not you should have or should buy a certain tool for your workbench. For me, this would be something maybe that I would ask for a Christmas present or a birthday present rather than necessarily going out and buying it myself. I do like it, and I think if you gave it a try, you'd probably like it too.
So Tim, that was a really interesting review of the DSPIAE tool. It'll be interesting to see if we use it for a few months, how it actually works, which I think is what we're going to do. We're going to come back in a few months, maybe at the end of the season, and we'll give you guys an update on how it worked, what it worked really well for, what sort of things we did with it actually in the FSM workshop.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. A lot of those things you can't really, I mean, you can sort of do the, well, this is how it works, and this is, you know, what we think of it right now, but unless you get into it and you're doing a lot with it, you know, that's the true test, right?
We're going to really road test it.
Yeah, exactly. So, moving on, last month, November, was
Build a Model Month.
That's what it was. It was Build a Model Month. And now the online contest is over, but we are smack dab in the middle of the voting phase for the People's Choice winner.
Which is on you guys to pick.
That's right. So what we want you to do, all 38,000 of you, is to go to the website, where the link is below, take a look at the enormous gallery of entrants. Some of those models are from you. And then go in and vote for the one that you think is worthy of being people's choice.
And just for voting, you will be entered in the sweepstakes to win $2,800 worth of models and modeling supplies. That should keep you going until what next, BAMM?
Next November.
Yep.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and those, you know, we're talking about models from Arma Hobby, from Revell, from Edward, from Atlantis, Tamiya, ICM.
Yep.
Am I forgetting anybody?
I don't remember. There were so many of them, I can't keep track of them.
There's, right now on screen, there is a list of all of the companies that donated to the sweepstakes. And then we also would be remiss if we did not thank Round 2, Cult TV Man, and Tamiya USA for sponsoring the BAMM online contest. Without them, really, we couldn't have done it, and we owe them a huge debt of thanks.
Thank you, guys.
So please go vote for the People's Choice Award winner, and then on January 8th, we're gonna go ahead and announce all the winners. The overall, it's not the grand prize, but it's the best of show, let's say.
Best of show, yes.
So the best of show, all of the category winners, and then the People's Choice winner. And that happens on January 8th.
It does. So vote now. Don't vote often. Just vote now.
Vote now.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for watching.
Bye. We've got a packed show for you this time, starting with some cool new products, including this. It's Sally 4th.
Ah.
It's a 1/48 scale.
Sorry, I forgot my neck. And the infragreen. Why is that so hard to say?
Over the last couple of years, I'm doing my best Ron Swanson impression. Tim will just fumble through everything for the rest of time. He's just back there. Ah, yes. I'm watching Tim struggle.
I'm just, I'm trying not to give you any pressure. You're fine.
Oh!
The shot in it.